How do there, guys, and welcome back to Edgar TV, where today we're looking forward. We're looking forward to the PDC World Darts Championship coming up at the Alexandra Palace, and today we're going to look backwards. Even though we're looking forwards, we're going to look backwards at some interesting data and stories from previous years gone by. This is going to be in terms of interesting averages or stats, who's done the best, who's done the worst, who's done something impressive at the World Championships. I think there's no better place to start with this video than Michael van Gerwen, who will appear throughout this video many times, I am sure. The first one we're going to look at is his stats and the numbers in what it takes to beat Michael van Gerwen. For me, Michael van Gerwen is the favourite going into this year's World Championship. And what does it take to beat him? Well, over an average of 100, because since 2012 he has never lost to an average lower than 100. That went to Simon Whitlock. Since then, 103 average to Phil Taylor, and so on down the right hand side. You can see that there in the yellow. The recent average he lost to was 107.34. Now the one that's missing is 2022. He doesn't have a losing average, but yet he didn't win the world title. The reason for that is because he got COVID. Now, this was during the COVID times with the bubble environment, and because he got COVID, he was withdrawn from the World Championship and wasn't able to compete any further in the event. Eric Bristow, in contrast, surprisingly, had the lowest average ever recorded in the PDC World Championship. That happened in the last 32, in a game with Peter Manley, 53.36, 1999 that was, and to be honest, I'd be surprised if we see that stat beaten. I think Eric's going to hold on to that, but legend of the sport, 5-time world champion. This was during the time when he had dartitis. Now, Ukraine have got a dart player in the World Championship for the first time. They are going to be the 40th country to be represented in the World Championship. On your screen now is the countries and the amount of people that represented them from the years gone by. Phil the Power Taylor. Now, there's going to be no surprise to know that Phil Taylor has most the positive stats, the 16-time champion of the world. He has on his record the most 100+ averages recorded at the World Championship. You'll see there 56 averages of over 100. Gary Anderson over 23, Lewis 15, Peter Wright catching up now on 15 as well. I think one impressive stat there is Rob Cross, considering he's not really played in that many World Championships, and also Dimitri Vandenberg. Both got 6 averages of over 100. I think we'll see some of these players add to those stats this year at the World Championship. But Phil Taylor, I'm going to leave him on your screen because he's also, not surprisingly, won the most matches at the World Championship. Gary Anderson in second place. I think Van Gerwen might overtake him into that position. Adrian Lewis, very impressive. The 4th player to have won the most matches at the PDC World Championship. I think it's also worth giving a special shout out and mention here to people such as Kevin Painter, Andy Hamilton, Alan Warrener, Peter Manley, who have also made this list. Good in terms of the longevity that they had in the World Championship and that coming through. It's very also surprising to see John Part in the bottom half of this list, considering that he's actually won a couple of PDC World titles. When we speak about wins, you've got to speak about Kim Huybrechts. In 2019, the PDC introduced a round of 96. Kim Huybrechts is the only player in the round of 96 so far who has been able to average over 100. Will that be added to this year? Here he is again, of course he is. Michael van Gerwen makes the list again. That's because we're talking about incredible stats when it comes to the World Championship. Michael van Gerwen, one of the best players that has ever lived. He recorded the best ever average that's been seen at the World Championships, 114.05. Now, 1, that's really impressive, but 2, it's mightily impressive. The reason it's mightily impressive, some may even say phenomenal, is because this happened in a semi-final match, so a long format game. A semi-final with Raymond van Barneveld in 2017, 114.05. That is redonkulous. Ron Meulenkamp has a record at the World Championship that he's not going to be able to defend because he's not there this year. That is, he is only one of 2 players that have been unbeaten in the round of 96 since its inclusion a few years ago. He shares that record with William O'Connor. William O'Connor, though, does have the opportunity to defend his record because he is qualified for the event, so he could be the last man standing in regards to unbeaten players in the round of 96. He will be taking on Bo Graves. not an easy task for him at all. John Part, 3-time world champion, 2 times in the PDC, once in the BDO. Surely he's got some records, hasn't he, at the World Championship? But he's got one that he probably doesn't want. He shares this one, surprisingly, with James Wade. Obviously he shares it with a few others, but these are 2 very high profile players. A 3-time world champion and one of the most successful players in terms of PDC titles that has ever lived in James Wade. Neither of them have ever averaged 100 or more at the World Championships. That is an incredible stat, especially when you look down the list. There's some players in there that, like Mick McGowan, for example, who you wouldn't think has hit more averages over 100 than James Wade and John Part combined when it comes to the World Championships. And I'd like to take a second before we end this video to thank Colin Harris. Colin Harris helping me out with this video. You can go check out his Twitter page. He is big on his stats and his data, so he'll have lots of interesting bits. And while you're down there, at the Edgar501 on Twitter, you might as well give me a follow if you don't do so already. Another big shout out to Cameron Parker, who went below into the video description and joined the Patreon page where you can literally support me for £1 a month. It helps me out massively, so thank you to Cameron Parker for getting involved with that. More, you want more? Of course you want more. There will be more coming here on Edgar TV, so go down below and hit that subscribe button, completely free to do so. Hit the like button, but also go down to the comment section, because one thing I know about you guys, the Edgar Nation, is you've always got some more interesting ones to add. What have I missed? What do you know? Is there a bit of stats or information that you think other people would like to know? Go share them down below in the comment section, and let's see if we can get a really good chat going down there about some really incredible World Championship history. We will be looking forward soon. I'm going to be making my predictions on who is going to be this year's World Champion. Them videos are coming soon, so make sure you are subscribed. And I'll catch you soon for some more Edgar TV. Edgar TV.